Hey folks, welcome back to Blessed by G Beats. I am the G, and today I want to give us some encouragement. I want us to understand that as we go forward in what we're trying to do, especially as beat makers and music producers and even content creators, talent is not enough for success. Let's get into it.
Yo, G, bless him.
Hey folks, once again, I am the G. Welcome back to Blessed by G Beats. And man, today it's going to be a very hot topic. And excuse me, I have a few notes. You may see me glance down from time to time. And this is really coming more off the dome. We're going to get a little bit more intense as the new year come along. I plan to start a podcast to really start helping us out with encouragement probably around February or March. But until that time comes, I'll be kind of giving these talking head video log or vlog style videos about encouraging us as we're on our journey. Now, I've been doing music for a very long time, and I've been pretty. I would say I've been somewhat successful, as in what I would deem success, but maybe not in the success that I should have had. I've done songs for some people who have released some CDs and different things like that. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I've come to realize over these years, and for those of you who may be starting out, I hope you realize, and I hope you let this motivate you, but talent isn't enough. Talent isn't enough for success. Because the problem becomes when we're talking about talent is you're going to find out that as you start to move up in your genre that everybody has talent. I remember one time that Puffy actually made, Puff Daddy or whatever he calls himself these days, he made the comment that talent is extra. And I truly believe that now that talent is extra. You'll hear someone say, well, man, that person's really talented. And then you'll hear someone say, I can't believe they haven't made it yet. You know why? Because it takes more than talent. I grew up with guys that played football and they were way more talented than guys who got scholarships. They were way more talented than even some of the superstars on the football team. But the problem is what they didn't understand is that talent isn't enough. It takes more things when you start talking about. But when it comes to talent, talent isn't enough. And the reason why talent isn't enough is because once you have talent, then you have to have the things or put things in place so people will be able to recognize your talent. You may be the type of person that you sing in the shower and your family knows you can sing, or you may sing at church, but when you start trying to make it on that next level, the issue becomes you need things to get people to be able to hear your talent or to know what your talent is. So I want to give us maybe 6 quick things to help us to and we may expand on this more later on, but I want to give us maybe 6 quick pointers on how to help us to be successful when we have talent. Because as I said before, when someone says you have talent, basically what they're saying is that, man, you have the potential. And don't be fooled when people say you have the potential, because potential in reality is really success not achieved. Even when someone says you have talent, they're saying you have talent, but you haven't made it. So what's going to get you to the point to where your talents, and let's be clear, you need talent. You need talent, man. You need talent, but make no mistake about it. The talent won't bring you success, but the talent will help you sustain success once you achieve it. Because once people recognize you have the talent, once you get in the door, well, then everyone starts beating down your door. and now everyone wants you to do things. It's pretty much how it happens for a lot of people. But the first thing you want to do when we start talking about being successful and with your talent, well, the first thing you want to do is identify what your talent is. Identify what your talent is. Understand not just what you like, not just what you love to do, but boil it down to what exactly am I talented at? Because once you identify what you're talented at, you'll be able to even more so recognize what other people are talented at. And then you can recognize what is unique about your talent and what differentiates you from everyone else. You take guys, when they play football, it's like I had a friend in high school who made the pros. And he was a very standout talent in high school. But he told me, he said, man, once you get to college, you're not so much as the most talented, but you're one of the most talented. He said, but then the problem becomes when you make the pros. He said, man, talent after that, it's almost like it doesn't matter because everyone on the pro level is talented. And so what you have to do is you have to figure out what your talent is. Let's just say a guy may be faster than you, but is he quicker than you? There's a difference in speed and quickness. Someone may, this guy can beat me running straight ahead, but he can't beat me when it comes to making quick cuts, changing speed, or whatever the case may be. And it's the same thing when we start talking about making music. You have to identify what are you talented at. Are you talented at, for example, making beats? Are you talented at chord progressions or coming up with melodies? Or this is a talent that sometimes people don't recognize is, do you have a talent for maybe you're not the best melody maker, best beat maker, but you have a talent for knowing what sounds good together, or you have a talent for making things that people seem to like. But whatever the case may be, you have to identify your talent. You want to identify your talent because the next thing you want to make sure that you take your talent and not just stay talented, but you want to turn your talent into a skill. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And so once you figure out you have a talent, the next thing you have to do is you say, okay, well, I want to do something with the talent. Well, you got to get started. You have to get started with the talent. And in our case, if we're going to be beat makers and producers, we have to figure out, okay, how am I going to get started? What am I going to make beats on? What's going to be the minimum, not the maximum? What's going to be the minimum I'm going to need to really get started on what I'm going to do? Is, for example, if someone wants to be a YouTube content creator, or even if you're a beat maker and you want to get your beats on YouTube, you have to get started. Not the maximum, but the minimum. Figure out what is the minimum that you need to get started, whether it be a cell phone to record your video making, whether you're going to make beats on cell phones, an iPad you have laying around, or you're going to make it on a laptop or a computer. How are you going to get started? You have to even say, okay, if I want to get my music out, how do I get started? What's the minimum I can do? I can do YouTube videos. I can start on Instagram. I can start on Twitter. I can do things on Snapchat, TikTok. You have to, all of a sudden you have to start formulating the plan. And the plan has to be in the beginning, especially how do I get started? And then that getting started will lead you to the next phase. It'll lead you to the next phase. And so the next thing you have to do once you get started is you have to start working hard. And so this is where you start turning your talent into a skill. I'll give you a quick story about me, for example. I remember when I began making music, I just borrowed a friend's drum machine and start throwing together beats, and borrowed a keyboard and start laying down some melodies back in the day. And I would record it, man, and people would say it sounded good, and I just started listening by ear, and I kept going, and I said, you know what, I really want to do this. I think I'm going to go to school for it. So when I graduated high school, I said I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to really learn how to do what I'm doing. But my problem was I didn't have the patience, and all I wanted to do was to show off the talent rather than developing the talent into a skill and understanding my talent and what I was doing, and understanding bars and beats and measures and single notes and quarter notes and eighth notes and half rest and all these different things. Even learning how to read music on scales and learning how to do chords and really studying my music theory. I didn't want to spend the time on that because, go figure, I thought that learning that stuff was really taking away from my creativity. Man, how silly was I at the time? Because now, once I got older, I started figuring out the very stuff that I'm trying to learn now, and the very things that I'm learning now, and the very things that I'm working hard now to get better at, those were the very things that I should have concentrated on then. Turn the talent into a skill. Create a situation to where, for example, how much valuable do you think you are if you run into a studio and let's say you pull up your FL Studio or your Reason, your Machine, Logic, or whatever you're working on, and someone wants you to work in the studio, and let's say you're working with some, I don't know, maybe Beyonce wants you to work, and they start talking about, well, what key is the song in? How much valuable would you be if you added skill to your talent and you automatically knew, or you knew, oh, my song is in C sharp, or my song is in C major or C minor. Oh, and a matter of fact, you're a little bit flat on that note you're singing, or hey, you know what? These chords would go good with what you're doing. How much more valuable do you become? Now you have a skill. You understand how to lay down beats. You know that there's 4 bars per measure, or there's 4 bars per measure, or you can turn it to 30-second notes, and now you can put more bars in there and have 8 bars in each bar, and you can, as far as the drum ticks and all of these things, you have developed a skill. Not only are you talented, and not only have you identified your talent, but now you've worked hard, you've practiced, and now you know how to even break your talent down. So when someone asks you how to do something, guess what? I got it. I'm valuable. I'm not just talented, but I'm skillful and knowledgeable with my talent. I know how to take it to the next level. And so you're going to have to develop it into a skill. You have to work hard, because it's just like sports, guys. It's just like you take, for example, basketball. The reason why I love Michael Jordan. People don't understand what made Michael Jordan so good. Michael Jordan was talented, but Michael Jordan became skillful, because Michael Jordan would look at his talent and identify what he was good at. And whatever he wasn't good at, Michael Jordan would work on that in the offseason, and he would come back that much more dangerous. He developed a jump shot. He developed a fall-away jumper. And later on, he kind of started messing around with three-pointers. He developed his defense. He was no longer just talented. He became so skillful that no one could stop him. And that's how we have to be with it as it pertains to this music. Because at the end of the day, you have to work hard, not just on being talented, but you have to work hard on being skillful at your talent. And we'll get more into that as we keep going here on this channel. So the fourth pointer I want to give us is use a coach. And what I mean by a coach, don't be afraid to read books, read articles, watch YouTube videos on what it is you want to do. Not only should you get those kinds of coaches, you think about YouTube, we got Curtis King. He's a very good coach. We got He's one of those guys who's willing to give knowledge to the community. And this is what I want to do, because there's not enough of us who want to be coaches. There's not enough of us who want to help people reach back and help people to learn from the mistakes that we made and learn vicariously. There's not enough of us out there. And then a lot of people who make it, they don't want to share the information because they have the crab in the barrel mentality. But I digress. I'm going to talk about that another day too. But I encourage you, use a coach and seek out people who have done what you've done, do what you do. Seek out and try to find people who are willing to coach you. People who are willing to tell you when you're good, when you're not good. They'll hold you accountable. They'll tell you when something is garbage, and they won't give you negative reinforcement. Instead, they'll give you constructive criticism. They'll tell you where you're good, and they'll tell you where you need improvement. This is really what we need as it pertains to trying to be successful in what we're trying to do and really to develop that talent. A coach, find someone who does what you do. So, find you a coach. There's a reason why teams need coaches. There's a reason why people get personal trainers. There's a reason why people get coaches, because coaches will give you feedback. They'll help you become better at what you're trying to do. They'll hold you accountable. They'll be tough on you. They'll help you do exactly what you're trying to do, and they'll help you become better. They'll help you become skillful. They'll help you achieve your goal. If you can find a coach, I promise you, you will not regret it. Number 5, make sure that when you start it, you finish it. Now, let's not be stupid. I don't mean that if you start it, then you must finish it if something's not working. Some people don't understand starting finish what you start. Sometimes you have to be smart enough also to realize that something that you may have started may not be necessarily the right way to go, or it may not be the right choice. Don't be afraid to stop something and restart and do it the right way. But what I mean by finish is make sure that you finish what you start, as in you have perseverance. This is very important in doing the things that we're talking about, because the frustrating part is this: having talent in some respects is rewarding to you if you tell yourself that you have talent, and the only reason why you haven't made it is because no one will give you a listen, or no one has discovered you. Sometimes that will make people feel fulfilled in itself. But we have to make sure that we finish, as in once we identify our skill and develop that, and we got our coach and we're working hard and we got a plan, then we got to finish the plan and we got to stay the course. Because the issue becomes that once you put it all together, the most frustrating part is when you have it all together and you don't achieve the success when you want it. Now that stumps a lot of people, because a lot of people, they put time frames on. Okay, well, now that I have all of this stuff, I should be successful. No, don't set the deadlines on when you should make it. Set the deadlines on certain goals that you want to achieve, but don't set a deadline on when you think you're going to have the success, because the problem becomes, if you don't have the success, and what happens to a lot of people, they just stop. They don't finish. You think about, the new year is coming and everyone wants to set New Year's resolutions, and someone says, well, you know what? I want to lose weight. I want to lose 30 pounds, by the end of January. And then they only wind up losing 3 pounds. And so what the person will do is that they'll stop and say, well, you know what? I've put all these little eating plans together and all of this stuff. You know what? This stuff isn't working. I'm done with it. I'm just going to go back to eating all the cake and ice cream that I want to eat, because what I did didn't work anyway. But you lost 3 pounds. And if you were to multiply 3 pounds times 12 months, that would be 36 pounds. So you see the issue? You have to persevere so that the success, it may not come when you want it, but if you persevere and you continue on what you're doing, the success will eventually come. And I want to throw a bonus thing in here too as it pertains to finishing and also as it pertains to success before we get to the final part. But I want you to make sure that you also need to determine what you call success. Now, if you're going to determine success that you're going to win 15 Grammys and you're going to be the hottest producer around, I don't really think that's a I really don't think that's success. And if you think that's success, you probably are going to be very disappointed and you're not going to persevere and you're definitely not going to finish. You need to really determine realistic success. And maybe you even need to measure it out in, okay, if you're doing beats, okay, I want to sell 10 beats by the end of the year. Some people say, well, I'm going to sell 10 beats a month. Well, you wind up selling no beats in the first 6 months and you'll be like, man, I'm done with this. Or I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to get 1,000 subscribers in the first year. And you get 300 subscribers and people quit. You have to make sure that the focus is on getting better at what you do and make sure that the success is reasonable success, attainable success. And once you start achieving the small goals, you will realize that the small goals will all kind of roll themselves up into the large goals. And that's how you're going to persevere. And that's how you're going to finish this, how you're going to finish this. That's how you're going to stop distractions. That's how you're going to overcome obstacles. That's how you're going to resist perfectionism that a lot of people suffer from, because if it's not perfect, if it's not how I want it, then I'm done with it. These things will help you finish and will help you achieve success on a more sustainable level. And so finally, you're going to find some success. And what you do is when you find that early success, don't become cocky. Don't become lackadaisical and lazy and do what a lot of people do. And they say, well, I've got this amount of success. All I have to do now is I'll just keep doing the same thing I was doing. No, don't keep doing the same thing you were doing. You keep getting better at what you're doing and you keep on expanding and expounding and getting better and more professional and better sounding and better at your advertisement, because that's what I was talking about with Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchats and all this stuff. You become more professional in your presentation and you keep growing yourself and don't rest on your laurels, and then you will grow. And however you had success, you keep doing it again. Let the repetition build, because that will make you better and better and better. And before you know it, man, you will just be a machine at doing what you do. It's like doing YouTube or doing music. Once you get the formula, you keep doing it over and over again. But what you find out is you keep doing it over and over again, you get more efficient, you get better. The workflow just continues to improve to you're just churning out not just quality, but you're churning out quality and quantity, because those two things can go together once you get this thing the way that you want it. And so, as we kind of close this out here, when you start looking at this whole thing about talent, and talent isn't enough on its own to achieve success, but once you identify that talent, developed it into a skill, and you work hard, you got your coach, and you got all these things going, this is when you're going to find what is known as the Great Divide, in my opinion. And you say, what is the Great Divide? The Great Divide is what separates the talented folk from the successful folk. the talented folk from the successful folk. See, my friend taught me something when he went to the pros. He said something to me that I thought was very powerful. He said, at the end of the day, George, he said, I really just didn't have the heart for it any longer. And he said, I realized something, that when you get to a certain level, talent isn't enough, because you got to have the heart to continue on and really be successful. And when you look at what separates the talented from the successful, it's the drive, it's the motivation, it's the heart. How bad do you really want it? Are you willing, and not just willing to do anything? Some people say, well, I'm willing to do anything to make it. And then you take somebody, for example, that's doing music. Oh, I'm willing to do anything to make it. But they won't learn music theory. No, you'll do anything you want to do to make it, and anything you like to make it. But people who really, really are successful, they don't just focus on the things that they want to do to make it. They're willing to do the things that you won't do to make it, as it pertains to developing skills and networking and collabing and staying up late at night and doing whatever they got to do to get their product done, making sacrifices to say that I'm determined to make this into my job, so this is going to be my total focus, and everything I'm doing is going to go into me doing this. That's the great divide. So if you want to be on that side of being successful, these things that I told you, these are the types of things that you're going to have to do. If you want to be just on that talented side and you want to make excuses and say, well, the reason why I haven't made it is that no one knows who I am, then you're going to quickly find out talent is just not enough to be successful. So I hope you take these things in that I've said today. And I think if you think on them and do some research, they will help you be successful. So until the next video, until the next time, as I continue to say, keep grinding, keep inspiring. I'm the G, out. Peace.